With the full launch today, there's been a wave of Diablo IV content, especially as it pertains to builds. In this video, I'm going to break down my current build, my Bloody Golem Necromancer. This is a similar build to what I showcased last week as a theory-crafted build, but today I'll be showing off actual gameplay of this build as well as some modifications to it. You can do it as a great leveling build. I didn't die once. Or you can use it in the end game. We'll start out by going over the build, pivoting into aspects and gear choices, then closing the video out by showing off the build and my thoughts on it as it pertains to both leveling and end game. If this is your first time on my channel, the way I do things is by upfronting the information in my videos so you can decide if it's the right video for you. So you can find the entire build as well as how I approach each level from 1 to 50 in the description and the pinned comment. The Google Doc will break down each and every level for you if you're using this as a leveling build. With the most recent patch, Blood Necro just got a huge power spike, so this build, which was strong a day ago or two, has just gotten way stronger. You can quickly navigate to any part of the video that interests you the most using the chapters in both the timeline and the description. Lastly, please don't forget to follow me on Twitch, where I will be streaming Diablo 4 as well as with the Diablo 4 launches, all that fun action. Let's get started here on my Necromancer Blood build for Diablo 4. So loading into the game here, let's take a look at this build and how it operates. So you can see below, here are the abilities that we will be using. We've got Corpse Explosion, Decrepify, Blood Wave, Golem, Hemorrhage, and then Blood Surge. So let's go into the actual skill menu. I'm going to go press expand so we can go through this a little bit easier, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a breakdown here. So we're going to be using Hemorrhage as our basic ability. It's going to have the chance to spawn blood orbs, which can help us out in a lot of the different aspects that we will be getting as we push through this build. But the big thing here is that it is a source of Fortify that is crucial for the way that Overpower works. And we'll talk about that in a second once we get down to Blood Wave and Rathma's Chosen, or whatever the hell it's called. Then Enhanced Hemorrhage here is going to give blood orbs. Your next hemorrhage also deals damage to 2 enemies. That's all right. It's okay. Initiate's Hemorrhage is what we want because it gives us another chance to fortify. It just helps us out right there. And Fortify is going to be good when you're leveling up as well as the end game. You can start with Acolytes if you so wish to increase your attack speed, but this is a really good way to start off. And if you want a per level breakdown, like I've said many times, it's in the Google Doc in the description. Go ahead and use that. From there, we're going to be using Blood Surge, which is again another source of Fortify if we go a certain route. So, Blood Surge. It's kind of tricky how this works. So when you cast the ability, it has some sequences that quickly unfold before you. So draw blood from enemies dealing 30% damage. So everything on the screen gets hit for 30% damage. And then you expel a Nova right around you for 75% damage. Blood Surge's Nova damage is increased by 10 to 50% based off of the amount of enemies drained. So 1 enemy drained, it's going to do 85% total damage. You drain 5 enemies, then you're going to be doing 125% total damage because it caps out at 50%. Then we're going to enhance it so that it now heals you for 2.5% of your max health, which is really nice. If you get 4 or more enemies though, you do get an additional 2.5% health, which is even better. And you have some options. If you want more survivability and more Fortify, you're going to go Supernatural Blood Surge. But if you want a lot more staying power, or at least more destructive power, you're going to go Paranormal Blood Surge. Because the way that this works is every 5 Blood Surges, you get a guaranteed Overpower Blood Surge. And while I will go into this more later, the way Overpower works is it's an additive bonus to your damage. So Overpowering deals bonus damage based on the sum of your current life and fortified life. So you boost up as much of your Fortify as you can, and it gives more damage bonus to this. And when you use aspects, you're going to get a ton of damage out of this bad boy. And of course, do keep in mind it does cost you around 30% essence, or I'm sorry, 30 essence with a 12% lucky hit. And we're going to be using Unliving Energy to give us a little bit of essence here, but definitely we want imperfectly balanced because now it's going to cost 9% more, which is what, 3 more essence, but you're going to deal 15% increased damage on it. So it's a much needed passive. Moving into our Corpse and Macabre skills, we're going to be getting Corpse Explosion. Every single person that makes a Necro does use something with corpses because it is a passive resource you want to tap into. And we've got 5 points into it and only 1 point into the Enhanced Corpse Explosion to increase the radius on it. And we're picking up Grim Harvest. So this way, whenever you use Corpse Explosion, it is actually a resource generator for you, giving you 6 essence with every single corpse consumed. It's quite nice, and you can also get some aspects that kind of piggyback on that, which we'll talk about in a bit. Moving into our curses, we're only going to get Decrepify, which is a source of slow, but it also makes so that things deal 20% less damage. Don't even worry about doing anything else here. It's just a 1-point wonder, and then we're going to go amplify damage on that, so you get 9% increased damage here. Moving into our other skills over here. That's not Corpse Macabre, but still. We're going to focus on the passives to get Gruesome Mending. That's just to open up the trail here to Coalesce Blood. So while healthy, which is crucial, because your Blood Surge is only going to get those 5 stacks while you're healthy, and same thing with Rathma's Chosen, or whatever it's called. While healthy, your blood skills deal 18% increased damage, and then Tides of Blood, your blood skills deal 15% increased overpower damage. This bonus is doubled while you are healthy, so 30% while you're healthy, and you're not going to have a problem being healthy because you're going to be topped off by constant flow of blood orbs. Trust me. Into our ultimate, we're going to go with Blood Wave, which is going to hit everything with a huge wave, doing a recently buffed 120% damage, as well as knocking things back and generating 3 orbs. We're then going to get an aspect that gives us 2 more blood waves with every single cast, so you get 9 blood orbs every time you use blood wave. It's an amazing ability. For passives in this location, we're definitely going to be picking up Inspiring Leader, and then we're going to pick up Hellbent Commander, so your minions deal 30% increased damage while you are close to them. And we're going to go standalone. So, with this build, because it's called the Bloody Golem build, we are sacrificing both our Skeletal Warriors and our Skeletal Mages to get more damage reduction, so increased damage reduction by 18%, reduced by 2% for each active minion. So you get a 16% DR for just having your Golem up. And then this bad boy. Sacrificing both Skeletal Warriors and Mages increases their sacrifice bonus by 60%, which is what we are doing. So we'll get into that in a little bit here. It's really going to play into the way Rathma's Vigor works. So increase your max life by 10%. After being healthy for 15 seconds, your next blood skill auto overpowers. It's huge. So it basically makes your Blood Wave an ability to instantly gib things, and your Blood Surge will just do so much damage, especially as we layer in the aspects of these things. So that Blood Surge, whenever you cast it once, a second Blood Surge will explode, and you'll get 2 for the price of 1, and that can either be overpowered via its own ability, or for Rathma's Vigor, which is huge. And same thing here for Blood Wave. We're either going to overpower that through Rathma's Vigor. We are going to overpower it through Rathma's Vigor, and we're going to get a ton of bonuses here. Because remember, this is a blood ability, so it's going to get a 30% damage bonus because we're going to be healthy when we do it. And an 18% bonus to blood skills because we're going to be healthy when we do it. But let's really quickly also look at the Book of the Dead. Because our Skeletal Warriors, we've sacrificed them to get 5% increased crit chance. This is increased because of Memento Mori by 60%. It's not huge. It's just kind of like, but maybe this is a really good one if you want non-physical damage resistance. It's just a nice way to get a little bit of crit chance. And then Skeletal Mages here, we've gone to sacrificing the Bone Mages because your overpower damage is increased by 40% further. So you add that 60% into it, we're looking at a native 64% overpower damage bonus. It is so juicy. Anytime you use Blood Surge on overpower, which it's going to hit twice, or every time you use Tidal or Blood Wave, I keep saying I want to say Blood Tidal Wave, on overpower, it's going to hit 3 times because of our aspects. And the way that these mechanics work, if you have something overpowered and you press the button, all 3 iterations or all additional iterations that happen because of aspects are considered overpowered because they do percentages of the actual initial damage. So what I mean by that is, let's just say we're taking a look at Blood Wave here, and it's doing, let's just round it up to 2,000 damage for easy math, and where it's going to get a 60% bonus on that. So it's going to do 60% more at 2,000, whatever that number is, whatever it is, I can't think off the top of my head. But then, because of this aspect, Blood Wave fires 2 additional waves, each dealing 53% less damage than the previous. So while those 2 waves are not overpowering themselves, they're already taking the raw overpowered damage as the one that's being reduced in damage for the second and the third wave. So no, you're not pressing the button and getting 3 super strong waves. You're getting 1 super strong wave, one slightly weaker, and one even more weak. But it would have been, it's stronger than had you just pressed the button naked without Rathma's Vigor. So it's an extremely potent build that has a lot of wave clear. You can easily destroy things with Corpse Explosion and get a lot of essence back that you can then destroy shit with Blood Surge, which also heals you. You've got Hemorrhage, which is going to help you generate some additional Fortify, and you just destroy stuff with Blood Wave that really kind of amps up as you use Rathma's Vigor. It is a really, really nice build. And for our Golem, of course, too, it's worth noting, we're going with a Blood Golem. While healthy, your Blood Golem gains 25% DR and 50% increased damage. The Golems just got a buff recently, so take a look at this. It drains life from nearby enemies to heal and bolster itself. Quite lovely. So it absorbs 15% of damage that you would otherwise take. And of course, you have all these other bonuses here. But what I want you to really see too is, this used to be, I think, on like a full minute or like a 45-second cooldown. The active is now on a 15-second cooldown. So look at this. Passive, you are protected by a golem with 2300 life, and that attacks for 38% damage, and it absorbs 15% of your damage and recovers life when attacking, of course. But the active here is important. So your golem becomes unstoppable and drains the blood of enemies in the area, dealing 117% damage and healing 5% of its life for each enemy drained. But if you're fighting a boss, this is tripled. Damage and healing are received tripled if only one enemy is drained. So you really get a lot of really fun damage utility out of this ability, because when you are trying to push through the build and you've hit Rathma's Vigor at 15 stacks like this, and you're like, all right, well, I got to get the essence to cast Blood Surge, or maybe Blood Wave is on cooldown, you can use Corpse Explosion to get some essence, or you can use Golem. Both of those will not trigger Rathma's Vigor because it only works off of your next blood skill. The only trick to this build, I will say, is don't accidentally use it on Hemorrhage. If you do, it's fine. Hemorrhage is going to be really strong, but you don't want to waste the stacks on Hemorrhage. You want to definitely use it on Blood Surge, which is going to have exploding potential, or Blood Wave, which is again going to have even more exploding potential. But that is the build in a nutshell. Let's jump really quick into a build browser to show you what the gear aspects look like. I've got some of them on me right now, but it's just going to be a little bit easier to show you all of them complete in one nice little presentation. Before we move into the actual discussion about gear and aspects, one thing I did want to point out that I did not realize leveling up that I wish I had. Shields are a very viable thing to use on all Necromancer builds. As you can see, I'm using one right here. Aspect aside, what you should be looking at is the fact that it says plus 80% main hand weapon damage. So basically, as long as your main weapon is doing a ton of damage, you don't need to worry about constantly having a focus in this slot, which I had thought I would need previously, which I was like, man, I really want to use a shield. It's kind of a classic Necro thing, right? But you can definitely do that. Just make sure that you get an aspect on it or whatever you want that you like the most, and feel free to use any of the shields you wish. I think shields probably work a little bit better with minion builds because there seems to be a lot of rolls on them geared more towards minions, but I actually really love having it. Adds a lot of survivability to me. So here is that same Blood Golem build we were taking a look at, but we're on d4builds.gg. We're going to switch over to gear and skills to talk about all of our aspects. Now, this is super overwhelming if you're brand new to the game. Don't worry about it. Don't think you have to jump into all this stuff to actually have the build work. The only like 2 or 3 ones you really need to get ASAP are Blood Bathed Aspect. Now this isn't the Hoarfrost Demis in the Fractured Peaks. That's super easy to get. It's in Act 1. You can just put this on your gloves, your weapon, your ring, your amulet, whatever it is. If you put it on a weapon and you're leveling up, I don't advise that just because you'll be swapping your weapon out so often. But it's also, it's a codex, so it's going to roll with 70% less damage. Any codex ability has the lowest possible denominator. You can just put this on your weapon a whole bunch of times while you're leveling up. It's not that big of a deal. But you probably want to put it on gloves and just never touch the gloves while you're leveling up. But it is a very crucial one because Blood Surge's Nova echoes again after a short delay, dealing 70 to 60% less damage. So every time you press Blood Nova, you get, Blood Surge, you get an additional Nova out of it, which is huge. It actually does a ton of damage, especially if it is overpowered. Remember, it's doing the 70% less damage of the overpowered Blood Surge. Also, Tidal Aspect. So Blood Wave fires 2 additional waves, each dealing 50 to 60% less damage than the previous. This is unfortunately a drop aspect, meaning you can only get it from, you guessed it, drops. So simply what you'd want to do to quickly and easily get this is go to the Oobles vendor in any town and use your Whispering Oobles, whatever the hell they're called, on the gloves slot, because this will roll on gloves, cheap and easy. Then you can extract it from the gloves and put it on any of these other items, or just keep it on the gloves, whatever works best for you. Those are the two real big ones. Now, outside of that, though, you're going to get stuff like Aspect of the Crowded Sage for healing. Might is just to help out with damage reduction. Those are just generic ones. But Aspect of the Embalmer here helps. Consuming a corpse has a 20 to 30% chance to spawn a blood orb, which is kind of fun because Aspect of Potent Blood, while at full life, blood orbs grant 10 to 20 essence. So what you're doing here is you're getting 9 blood orbs every time you use Blood Surge, or Aspect of the Embalmer is going to help push blood orbs out of blowing up corpses, or Hemorrhage is going to produce blood orbs. Those are free resources for you, free essence for you that you can just kind of stack up. And we're going Edge Master's Aspect here, which you're going to get in Skull's Glen, which is going to give it so that skills deal up to 10 to 20% increased damage based on your available primary resource when casting. Receive the maximum benefit while you have full primary resource. So basically, you just jack up your resources and you do even more damage. An Aspect of the Expectant, attacking enemies with a basic skill increases the damage of your next core skill by 5 to 10%, up to 30%. So basically how you do that, you use Hemorrhage, you buff up Blood Surge before it overpowers, use overpowered Blood Surge, and you're going to get that bonus too. And it's a really nice little ditty right there. Another big one here is Sacrificial Aspect. So your sacrifice bonuses are increased by 15 to 25%. Remember, they're already buffed because of Memento Mori at 60%. So this puts it at 75 to 85% bonus to your Memento Mori, which is an overpowered damage bonus for you. It is so huge. With our gems, we're going to be going with a Ruby for overpowered damage increase, Sapphire for the armor for our damage reduction while fortified, because we have tons of ways to fortify. And then for jewelry, I'm going to stick with diamonds here. If you were playing a melee class, I would probably go with armor just to help out with giving you the passive damage reduction to non-physical. But I like this for resistances. I find that while I'm playing a range class, I do deal quite a bit with tons of range non-physical damage just hitting the crap out of me. And you can see here's our skills as well, all the sacrifices that we've done, as well as any selections we've made. You can find this entire build linked below. But this is all of the aspects that you'd want to kind of cobble together. You'd hover over this. It tells you where to find it, if it is a drop aspect or if it is a codex aspect. And you can use Map Genie to find that, or you can use this interactive map right here to quickly find where these locations are to get these aspects as you do. But if you're leveling up, don't worry about absolutely finding every single one of these. As soon as you hit max level, you're going to probably click into them pretty quick. Let's close the video out here now, giving you my overall thoughts on the build. So this build is a lot of fun. Playing through the game with it from 1 to 50, I felt pretty much unstoppable, and I felt like I was only getting stronger, especially with the balance patch that added a ton of damage to the things that I was using the most. Originally, this build had Blood Lance, and I was using Blood Mist, but I found that Blood Mist wasn't doing what I wanted it to do, in that I wanted it to blow up corpses for me and refund me the health, and then having to do it again because the cooldown broke down. It's not like that anymore. If you use that in the beta, unfortunately, Explosive Blood Mist is not what it once was, and Blood Lance just didn't have the damage potential of Blood Surge. I think that once you really see how this build comes together, you're going to have a ton of fun. If you watch the gameplay that you're seeing here, I run around a lot more in this build, especially because I'm playing in Nightmare right now, and I'm not even 51. In this video, I hit 51. So I'm punching 2 levels above myself solo with my jacked golem and all my blood abilities to keep me topped off. Of course, in this video, I was suffering from low lightning resistance, as you can see, but still, what you're going to find is that you're going to spend a lot of the time in this build lining up your blood wave. You want to make sure that blood wave cascades down a bunch of enemies because it's going 3 times over. And the best way to do that is basically run outside of a group of enemies, line it up, shoot the blood wave, run into the blood wave, so all the enemies that are coming to you, they're coming to you in the center of where that blood wave is just smashing into them. And once you get your blood surges, you basically go hemorrhage, 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 then blow everything up with a blood surge, rinse and repeat. And then you use Corpse Explosion to auto get a ton of essence while also dealing damage in a huge radius around you. I think that this is, unfortunately, the circumstance with ARPGs, people kind of gravitate too much to what is considered the S tier build. And this build on, I think, max roll was like an F tier build, and it is absolutely not the case. One thing I really want to stress with this build and all builds that I cover on my channel, play the game how you want to play the game. You spend $70 minimum to play this game. So use this video as a guideline, or at least giving you some ideas and how to make your own blood build. Or maybe you take some of this and you apply it to a summon build you want to do. Please play the game however you want and enjoy the process from 1 to 50. This game is so fun when it comes to going through that story and pushing through it, that you're going to have fun with this build, but you're going to have fun with a bone build or a summoner build. If you're struggling to figure out which build you really want to go with, go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. I can help you out with anything I can as far as aspects or my approaches to those respective builds or what my experience has been. But I definitely have enjoyed Blood the most when I had originally planned on going strictly as a zoo Necro build, right? Where you just make nothing but minions, and I'm having tons of fun here. I think it really comes down to having a golem that is so goddamn strong, and me personally being able to just burst down huge groups of things and exploding blood everywhere. As you can see, this is a very chaotic build. So hopefully you have fun with it. If you have any questions or anything that you need help with, go ahead and let me know in the comments section below. But as always, thank you so much for watching here. But don't forget to check out all my other guides at the end of the video. But have a good one and take care.